I'd like to call the Greater Dayton RTA Board of Trustees meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Stanforth, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Pearson.
Present.
Mr. Williamson.
Present.
Mr. Corrado. Ms. Hurd.
Here.
Mr. Hoagie.
Here.
Ms. Howard.
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin.
Here.
Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Here.
And Mr. Weckerser.
Here.
Thank you.
Having had the roll call, I can now declare a quorum. The next thing on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Are there any corrections or changes that you'd like to make to the agenda at this time?
I don't think we're going to need an executive session.
No, we will not, but it's always on there for just in case purposes, yeah. But we will not be using one today. Okay, so having had the question asked, I will consider the agenda approved. The minutes of the meeting from October 1st, 2019 were presented for review to all board members prior to today's meeting. Unless there is any board member who requests a reading of the minutes, I will ask if there are any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented. Having heard no requests for a reading of the minutes nor any corrections or addition, the minutes stand approved as presented. I have the honor of doing a recognition at this point of the meeting, and it is for an achievement of excellence presented to the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority, Dayton, Ohio, by the Federal Transit Administration, Region 5. The certificate for exemplary completion of a U.S. Department of Transportation FTA triennial review during fiscal year 2019, presented to federal-funded public transportation providers and agencies who had no open final report findings in the areas examined. And it is signed by Kelly Brookins, the regional administrator. And I would just like to recognize the agency, especially Mary Stanforth and Mark, and and Mark, and the agency as a whole for another very good review. And this is really a record because it's very few agencies that repeatedly get this award. And this is our fourth time receiving it, 4 times consecutively.
Correct.
Okay. So again, thank you to the agency and especially to our financial organization, and Mark, for your leadership in this award.
Madam President, as far as we know, no other transit system in the country has had 4 consecutive. And obviously, I think I want to highlight Bob's efforts to get us ready for the triennial.
Right, right.
He did yeoman's work to get us ready for it and get us through it. The 2 days on site were tough. The FTA likes to describe the triennial review as their version of a root canal. I would say it's a root canal without anesthetic. So it's a deep dive, and it's very fascinating, and it makes sense. I mean, a lot of federal money flows our way. A lot of obligation comes with it. And we were told that even systems who had a perfect last time had a dozen or more findings this time because of some of the things they'd stepped up. It says a great deal about our team, and I'm really proud to be a part of it, so thank you.
And again, I Congratulations. And Bob, I did not mean to leave you out of it because you have been very instrumental. I did not. Well, kind of, sort of.
Fine print.
Okay. Moving on to committee reports. Mr. Lumpkin.
Thank you. Finance and Personnel and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on October 22nd. And as a result, the committee is recommending 3 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 2, professional arborist services. Purpose of this procurement for the Greater Dayton RTA is to obtain services of a professional arborist to provide the services related to pruning and removing trees near overhead lines, that care and maintenance of the trees and associated grounds issues throughout all of RTA facilities. This project is consistent with RTA's core values of safety and stewardship as we continue to maintain clean and professional image, as well as ensuring the overhead lines remain clear and safe for our customers. These services will be supplied by over a 5-year term. Mr. Rosinski presented this action item at our committee meeting, and all associated details are in your package. Bob is available to answer any questions that the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the committee, I move to award a contract to Tree Care Incorporated for a 5-year period based on the hourly rates stated in the board package for services that are determined needed, with a total not to exceed the amount of $890,000. Funds for professional arborist services are included in the operating budget.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and second that action item number 2, professional arborist services, be approved. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item number 2 is approved.
Action item number 3, Marsh & McLennan Insurance Agency quotes. Marsh & McLennan Insurance Agency have surveyed the insurance markets over the past couple of months on behalf of the RTA and has identified several highly rated insurance companies to provide coverage. In today's board package, we've included an executive summary which highlights types of coverage and associated annual costs. Marsh & McLennan's recommended and most cost-effective insurance package is of $1.7 million annually. This cost includes average deductible, self-insured retention amounts. The annual cost increased by $100,000 due to increased replacement cost values on buildings, as well as increasing flood and catastrophic coverage. When considering the tornadoes that impacted Montgomery County this year, staff determined it was appropriate to make the increase in the flood and catastrophic areas. Ms. Stanforth presented the action items at our committee meeting, and all the associated details are included in the package today. Mary is available to answer any questions that you might have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the committee, I move to authorize our CEO to bind insurance coverage through the Marsh & McLennan Insurance Agency for the coverage year of December 1, 2019 through November 30th, 2020. The coverage will include the attached coverage terms unless a more cost-effective package becomes available prior to December 1st, 2019. Excuse me. This flexibility is necessary, as it is not uncommon for insurance companies to continue competing for a contract up until the actual date the coverage is to begin. This procurement, totaling $1.7 million, will be funded 100% with operating funds.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second to approve. It's been moved and seconded to approve action item number 3, Marsh & McLennan Insurance Agency quotes. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions?
I have to abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
The record will reflect 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Action item number 3, Marsh & McLennan Insurance Agency quotes, is approved.
Action item number 4, approval of 2020 board and committee meeting dates. As set forth within RTA bylaws, the Board of Trustees meeting dates occur on the first Tuesday of each month. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committee meetings dates are typically occur on the 3rd Tuesday of each month. Lastly, the Investment Advisory Committee meets quarterly on the 3rd Thursday during the months of January, April, July, and October. On an infrequent basis, it is necessary to change a regularly scheduled meeting date. Ms. Danforth presented the action item at our committee meetings, and the associated details are included in today's board package. Mayor is available to answer any questions that anyone may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendations of the committee, I move to approve the attached 2020 board committee meeting dates. The Board of Trustees reserves the option to cancel rescheduled meetings based on the necessity of actions by the Board of Trustees.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second to accept action item number 4, 2020 board and committee meeting dates. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item number 4 is approved.
Additional items to mention, the 2020 to 2024 capital budget. Mr. Rosinski made a presentation of that capital budget. The categories reviewed included the electric systems infrastructure, revenue, vehicles, and equipment, transit hubs and facilities improvements, and equipment, technology, amenities, and others. Bob detailed the funding required for these projects as part of a working with a capital budget. RTA determines how to best maximize federal funds to support day-to-day operations and capitalized maintenance. Mr. Rosinski detailed progress made so far during 2019 and detailed the grant funding required to pay for a significant portion of the projects. The capital budget has been aggressive with many facilities improvements projects, many bus purchases, including dual-mode buses, and electric trolley infrastructure work. RTA projects are completed as planned, and the FTA and the state of Ohio monitor this closely. Our success at securing federal and state grants is tied to the fact that we plan carefully and complete our projects in a timely manner. The 2015 to 2020 operating budget statement is, this is just a quick review of the budget update. Mr. Rosinski and Ms. Stanforth made a presentation on this operating budget. Mr. Rosinski detailed the financial results from prior years and highlighted some of the reporting requirements that are necessary related to the audited financial statements. Some of these requirements may be confusing to the financial statement user, with the end result not necessarily showing the most concise operating financial results. Ms. Danforth discussed the 2019 projections and also the 2020 preliminary expense budget. Mr. Rosinski explained the one goal of today's presentation, or that day's presentation, that the internal financial reporting will be changed or modified to better depict operating financial results. More discussion will follow at upcoming committee meetings. The July 2019 sales tax update. At the meeting, Ms. Beard reported that the 2019 sales tax receipts equal $3.27 million. They exceed July of 2018 by $145,000. Receipts exceed July 2019 budget by $203,000 or 6.6%. Year-to-date, July 2019 sales tax receipts equal $22.45 million. Receipts exceed the 2018 by $759,000. They exceed the year-to-date July 2019 budget by $807,000 or 3.7%. It's very important to note that when comparing sales tax revenue to 2017 and previous years, funding is off by about $4 million as a result of lost Medicaid managed care tax. Results are better than budget. However, the budget incorporates the reduction resulting from the lost Medicaid managed care tax. The September 2019 financial statements, Ms. Beard reported for that month, a net loss before federal and state depreciation is $191,000. This is $103,000 worse than budgeted loss of $88,000. The overall negative variance is largely due to lower operating revenue and higher contract services and purchase transportation expense. The $19,000 net decrease in fair value of investment was a contributing factor as well. The year-to-date September 2019 net loss before federal and state depreciation is $1.15 million. This is better than the year-to-date budget. However, it's important to highlight the RTA's 2019 annual budget includes a $2.69 million net loss. The detailed information is included in today's board package. And that concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lumpkin. Next on the agenda is the Planning Committee. Ms. Howard.
The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on October 22nd, and while we do not have any action items to bring before you, we do have important dates to provide. At the committee meeting, Mr. Brandon Polachicchio provided a summary document of recent activities in the Customer and Business Development Department. This included an update on ridership for the Flyer, which will celebrate its first year in operation on November 9th. The Flyer now provides more than 2,000 trips per day, putting it in the top 5 routes for trips each day. Much of the growth can be attributed to increased rides during the lunch hour, on Saturdays, and by University of Dayton students, where there has been targeted marketing encouraging students to ride. The RTA transported more than 800 people with its Park and Ride shuttle at Outdoor X on October 4th and 5th. The Communications Department also had a booth talking about agency services. The Communication Department also led the agency Safety Day at the RTA on October 30th. More than 150 people participated in this event, learning about various RTA safety programs, as well as personal safety tips from partner vendors such as Bike Miami Valley, Spin Scooters, Dayton Fire and Police Departments, and Five Rivers Metro Park. The event was also covered by 2 local TV stations and the Dayton Daily News. Soon, the 2019 RTA Holiday Bus will hit the streets of the Miami Valley, and this year, people are in for a sweet treat with a gingerbread-themed scene. The planning team will soon be drafting a list of many of the routes the holiday bus will travel between November 29th and New Year's Day 2020. This concludes my report, Madam President, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Next report is from the Investment Advisory Committee. Mr. Weckerson.
Thank you. The Investment Advisory Committee met on October 17th for an informative session regarding RTA's investment portfolio, current topics in the investment arena, and sales tax revenue. The committee does not have any action items today. However, I have informational items to share. At our meeting, Mr. Jason Headings of Meter Investments began his presentation with an economic update. With regard to U.S. domestic growth, the Federal Reserve median projection is 2.3% for 2019. At our April 18th committee meeting, the 2019 projection was 2.1%, and at the February 14th meeting, the projection was 2.3%. This is down from 2018's actual growth of 3%. The provisions of the new Tax Act, slowing global demand, and downward signs in the transportation index are contributing factors to the overall lower domestic growth projection. Mr. Headings discussed the Institute for Supply Management Manufacturing Index. There has been a significant drop in the index since September 2017. Since that time, the index has dropped from 61 to 48. Numbers above 50 represent expansion, so therefore we are seeing a downward trend in manufacturing. This is negative for the overall U.S. economy. Oil and diesel fuel pricing has been volatile over the past year. Current AAA diesel retail prices are in the $50 to $60 per barrel range. This is relatively low, with the likely scenario being higher prices to be seen in the future. Regarding the U.S. unemployment rate, we continue to have a full employment state, with employers finding it difficult to find qualified employees. The national unemployment rate is currently just under 4%, and Ohio's rate is about 4.5%. When looking at inflation, personal consumption expenditures, inflation is still well below 2%. Market inflation expectations are in the 1.5% range over the next 5 years. The lower inflation expectations would also indicate a slowing economy. Mr. Headings presented the Federal Open Market Committee's FOMC September 2019 meeting highlights. The FOMC voted 7-3 in favor of cutting its overnight target rate of 0.25% for the second time this year to a range of 1.75% to 2.00%. FOMC Chairman Powell described the rate adjustment as insurance against ongoing risks and indicated the FOMC is not on a preset course. Chairman Powell further stated, "We see a favorable economic outlook, though there are risks to this positive outlook due to particularly weak global growth and trade developments." There was some speculation that the Fed would announce a balance sheet increase to help boost liquidity. However, There was no mention of a standing repo facility or the start of a balance sheet expansion. Mr. Headings reported the par value of RTA's investment portfolio at September 30th, 2019 is $28.87 million and carries a weighted average maturity of 1.80 years. The weighted average yield on the portfolio is 1.68%, and 2019 annual interest income is projected to be $485,000. The 2019 annual interest income budget is $500,000. Meter's recommendations to the Investment Advisory Committee include: 1, recent trends in inflation and slowing global growth support the Federal Reserve's recent actions of reducing the federal funds rate. The market is anticipating additional rate cuts in 2019 and 2020. Given this outlook for rates, Mr. Headings recommends extending the core portfolio cash flow permitting. 2, commercial paper continues to provide excess yield to the portfolio over alternative short-term products. Therefore, Mr. Headings recommends continuing to build the allocation to commercial paper. Committee members unanimously agreed with Mr. Meter's above stated recommendations. This will be the path followed until the next Investment Advisory Committee meeting, which is scheduled for January 23rd, 2020. The Investment Advisory Committee also discussed Montgomery County sales tax receipts. Ms. Stamforth reported year-to-date July 2019 receipts total $22.45 million. This amount is $807,000, or 3.7% higher than year-to-date July 2019's budget. When comparing sales tax receipts to the budgeted amounts, it is imperative to factor in the loss of approximately $4 million of Medicaid managed care tax. The 2019 budget was adjusted downward by $4 million due to the loss of the Medicaid managed care tax. Therefore, compared to prior years, the sales tax receipts have decreased significantly. Committee members discussed the sales tax budget for 2020. Although year-to-date we have realized a 3.7% increase over budget, that trend is not expected to continue through the remainder of 2019. Recently, it has been reported car sales and UPS deliveries are trending downward. The committee concluded the 2020 sales tax budget should reflect a 3% increase over the 2019 sales tax budget. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Wepperson. Next on the agenda is the CEO's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple informational items. There's been quite a bit of media attention already paid to it, but just a reminder that the new state funds were awarded recently, and we got a little over $6 million in awards for the first year of the biennium, which is excellent. I would highlight that we were third behind Cleveland and Columbus, which was very impressive. And as you know, this is really money that will go directly into our capital program, which has been heavy in recent years, so it will help us a great deal there. And once again, I should thank Bob for his effort. He's the primary on getting these applications in and helping. It's my understanding, talking to ODOT, that as much additional money as there was this year, the program was still well oversubscribed by somewhere 3 to 4 to 1 margin, which is a good message back to the legislature that, you know, not only are we going to use these funds that they've allocated, but there's a great deal more that's needed. Our target really should be about $200 million a year for the state. We're a long way from that, but we're headed in the right direction, so that's a great thing. The Greyhound transition has gone smoothly. I think we've settled everything up, at least physically at the site at this point. I've had no complaints at my end of the building since the transition occurred, so it seems to be going pretty well. And I just wanted to say, hey, you know, maybe on November the 9th, we should let everybody ride the flyer free in recognition of the 1-year anniversary. Just seeing who's paying attention out there. Because as you know, it's fast, it's frequent, and it's already free. So just get out there and ride the damn bus, because it's a lot of fun if they haven't done it. I would personally take a ride with David Ezrati if he would like, so he can experience it firsthand, because apparently he hasn't yet. So anyway, it's been a great, great success. As you know, we're carrying about more than twice as many people a day as we had hoped in the first year. What we hear most now is, what do we do next? What's the next flyer that we can come up with? And as part of the system redesign, we're looking at things like that. But I think it's kind of a great moment to step back. We launched it in a cold month, and it didn't seem to matter. And I keep watching outside my window every day the progress on the arcade, and I shudder to think how many buses we're going to need when that thing is open and the university is fully operational at this location. But that is a good problem, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you.
The good news was most of them knew, the staff.
Mark, with the great success we've had with the triennium, the federal review, I would think that would enter very favorably into them awarding us money in the future, or at least it goes into the consideration. Does the state know how well we have done? Are they aware of that, and would that enter into their decision when it comes time for them to award money?
Absolutely, and I can tell you they know in the administrator's office in D.C. Kelly is our regional administrator, the individual who signed our plaque. Her boss, Jane Williams in Washington, is aware that we've achieved this, and they're the folks, along with input from Kelly and her team, they decide when federal discretionary funds are distributed. And as you know, we've been pretty successful there already. So it absolutely counts, yes. And the time we spend in Columbus and the time we spend helping ODOT when we can, I think is reflective in the fact that well, quite frankly, we received more money once again than Cincinnati, which is a larger metropolitan area. So I think it's there. Now, at some point, you know, they'll say to us, you can't have it all, Mark. But that doesn't stop us from asking for all of it. So we'll just keep that up. But you're absolutely right. I think if I've learned anything over the decades, one, it's relationships are everything. You have to really spend the time on those. And two, these sorts of things, they really do make a difference. And I was at a meeting in Buffalo of our benchmarking group, and one of the presentations on the systems all do updates was a system being proud of their very first error-free triennial review. And a friend of mine from California said, well, that's nothing. Mark just had his fourth. And the people all, they thought she was kidding, and we were asked, and of course, the answer was yes. So those things do bode well. It's like the clean audits we get. All these things add up to helping our reputation, and I think the agencies know when it comes to dispensing money, we know that Dayton will use it properly, and they'll spend it within the guidance that we have and the timeline we want, which is critical for both the state and the Fed. So you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is old business. Is there any old business to bring before the board? We have, now we're down to new business, and we have one new business item. And who will be teeing that one up? Will it be you, Mark, or?
I'm happy to do that. We have, the new business item today is a result of us finding an error on our part and in reviewing what we call our fare tariff, which is the structure of the fare system out there. It became evident to us that in the last couple changes, it appears to indicate that a child between the age of 6 and 12 could ride unaccompanied. And so we're here today asking to fix that by stressing that children age 12 and under, and we use the 60 inches tall as a cutoff, must be accompanied by a fare-paying parent, guardian, or teacher to clarify that, you know, for the public in case the question comes up. That's the only change we wish to make.
Does this mean that,
And it would be effective Sunday, December 1st, 2019. Thank you, Sharon.
does this mean that if they are 12 but 6 feet tall, what happens?
60 inches tall.
He's asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Right, that does happen if they're above 60 inches and they're 12 or under, they get an ID.
And they still have to be accompanied by an adult.
If they're 12 and under, yes, and vice versa. If they're 13 and short, you can get an ID that covers you too for the reduced fare for younger folks.
Mark, I realize they're under different categories, but if I look at D3 and look at E, there seems to be some redundancy there. vote saying that children under 12 have to be accompanied by an adult, and it just repeats itself in the, I don't, it's something you may want to consider.
Can you repeat that? Which item, D what?
D, 3,
D3.
and E.
Got it.
Is 3 referring to the
Free ride.
free? Yeah, and then the height is
I'm
the
not
E.
sure why we need E.
Yeah, that's my contention. It's covered under 3E.
Can we-
D3.
Could we ask that you approve it, amending it to
Yes.
eliminate E?
Ask that it be approved, what?
And amending the document to eliminate,
Okay, can I get a motion from the board? And I can see Ms. Howard getting ready to
I
address that.
I move that we accept new business item number 1, fare structure revision, supervision requirements with one edit, eliminating E, passenger height and supervision requirements.
A second.
It's been properly moved and second that new business item number 1 be approved, which is the transit fare structure adjustment. Question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Motion carries. New business item number 1 is approved. We're now moving on to public comment. And I have before me 2 requests for public comment. And what I will state for you is that anyone wishing to address the board must speak on their own behalf. And after being recognized to speak, you must come to the podium, or a microphone will be brought to you if that is not possible. You are to state your name and address, and after doing so, you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. When 30 seconds remain, that light over there will turn yellow, and when 3 minutes are up, you must cease speaking. And the first person I have to speak is Miss Elizabeth McGowan. Would you prefer a mic be brought to you? Okay. She said no.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak today. My name is Elizabeth McGowan. My address is 2010 Germantown Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45417. What else did you want to know?
That's it.
That's it? The reason why I'm here today, first of all, I'd like to commend RTA for the wonderful services that I have been able to partake of for, I say, approximately 50 years since coming to the Miami Valley. I have not been here consecutively 50 years. I've been all over the country, and the services that you provide in the transit are some of the best in the country. I can say that firsthand. The reason why I'm here today, because I have 3 concerns that I have already addressed to you on other occasions, but this is the first time bringing it to the board. I ride number 9 bus line. I stopped riding number 8 because of pit bulls running around the bus stops. We won't even address that today. But I ride number 9, and I have an occasion at least once or twice a week to go down to Goodwill, Easter Seals building on Main Street. There is no bus stop on Main Street where the 22 bus line, there is a stop. The number 9 comes down past your garage, and then the next stop is Main and Franklin. Well, as you can see, I am on a walker. It is too dangerous to walk across all of that going back to Goodwill. I would have to come down to the hub, transfer again to be able to go back to Goodwill. There are drivers who will make that stop. I understand it's at their discretion. However, if there are other drivers on that bus, they will not permit them to stop because it is not a legal stop. And it would help out so much if you can put a number 9 bus stop there for us. It is so convenient. Secondly, I ride Project Mobility, the paratransit. You came up with a new rule where you have to sit on a shower chair They used to let us sit on a walker or a shower chair to be able to board the bus. Now, I understand your frustration. I even feel your pain. You have people who are intoxicated or whatever, or hard to understand, or senile, or whatever the situation is, and you're requiring everybody to sit in those shower chairs. However, I feel that I have a right to refuse. You know, I sign whatever you want me to sign, but I do not feel safe sitting in that shower chair, getting up on that ramp. I am more secure holding on to those bars and getting on. But what concerns me most is that I have a right to refuse. You're taking my rights away from me. I just want to bring that to your attention. And thirdly,
Okay, I'm sorry, but your time has
oh,
expired.
it has.
Why don't,
Yes.
we'll,
I'll come back next month.
well, why
But
don't- we'll talk to you.
who's running this meeting?
All right.
Thank you.
Can we,
Can you, hold on one second? We're going to let you go on, and it is my discretion, not everybody else's beside me, to let you continue. And being that you're talking about something that I think is very important, I'm going to let you go ahead and complete your one more.
About that. And the third thing, I was going to ask you about your advisory board. When you make these decisions, I notice everyone coming here is very able. Nobody's on a walker. Nobody's coming in no stretchers or nothing. But when you make these decisions, do you have an advisory board or anybody who actually use your services that are able to give some input before they come up with these decisions?
Okay.
One more thing. Will the flyer be running on Saturdays and Sundays?
It does run on
it
Saturday.
does run on Saturdays on a limited schedule.
Schedule.
It does not run
Limited
on
schedule.
Sundays.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
if I could make a couple quick comments,
Yes.
because we're going to have Brandon and Roland talk to you before you go home. Did you say Maine and Washington you'd like us to stop?
What is that stop? It's right after you leave your garage, coming around
We-
Patterson.
They'll talk to you about that because we're in the middle of a redesign anyway. I would tell you that you're perfectly able to use your scooter, your walker there, because it has brakes. If you prefer to sit on that, you can use that. Well,
You're using the
I can
lift.
tell you that when people fall off those lifts,
I understand.
it costs tens of thousands of dollars, and that was why we made the change. We had too many incidents, and they were not intoxicated people, or typically people with a medical condition who lost their footing, or sometimes the lifts, if you ride them enough, you know, they aren't perfect either. That's what caused the change. So we allow people to use their walkers as long as they have brakes, or to use the chair, and then we believe it's for your protection, and that's the reasoning behind it.
Just think about what I'm saying.
We do, and we absolutely have an advisory committee, and we don't pick who's on it, and they're very representative of the community, and they do look at most everything we do. But Mr. Caldwell, who's our Director of Transportation, and Mr. Polachicchio, who's involved on the planning side, will both talk to you before you go home tonight about the routes, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next person we have down is April Easterling. Ms. Easterling, as I mentioned, you'll have 3 minutes after you state your name and address.
My name is April Easton. I live at 141 West 3rd Street, apartment 609. I'm on dialysis. I go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Dialysis, if you don't know, is a very hard thing to do. It's very hard. I need it in order to live. If I don't go to dialysis, I'm going to die. That's automatic. I'm going to die.
Right.
Okay? They put me off the bus for 14 days because I missed 5 times. I called in and canceled because I was in the hospital. Mom was out of the hospital. I was at the hospital. I couldn't make it. They dialyzed me at the hospital. Okay. I called. They call you at 7:48. I got it on my phone. Call you at 7:48 in the evening to verify your appointment. Then they call you at 5:08, 5:07 in the morning to verify your appointment again. And then they give you the right to deny or cancel. Okay? I canceled. because when I wake up in the morning after I eat, take my dog out, he's a service dog, take my dog out to use the bathroom and stuff. Sometimes I come back, I'm sick. I have bowel movements. I boo-boo on myself, I have to take a shower, throwing up, and I can't make it there when the bus comes. So I cancel in order to get to the dialysis. I have to have somebody come get me to take me there later. So when they called me at 5:07, I said, no, I don't need my trip. I canceled because I will not be ready because I'm in the shower, taking a shower. Okay, they gave me 5 no-shows. One of them I was in the hospital. I got proof here. The other ones, I got on my phone that they called me at 5:07, and I canceled. And he said, you got to call 2 hours in advance. Who knows that 2 hours in advance while I'm asleep that I'm going to get sick at 5:45 after I eat? My stomach be upset. If I take this medicine to nauseate my stomach, I get a migraine headache. It says it on the bottle. I can show it to you. If you take this medicine, you're going to get a migraine. Then I'm going to have to go to sleep and miss dialysis. One or the other. I'm going to take it to solve my stomach pain, or I'm going to have a headache. So I'm in between trying to figure out how they're going to fix my medicine and what they're going to do about my nausea. Okay? Because every morning I wake up, I'm having diarrhea, and my body is rejecting dialysis. And they don't know why. So I get these no-shows, and I have no way to dialysis. I got to be there at 6:30 in the morning, and I got these 5 no-shows.
Okay. We have somebody here that can talk with her.
Sally Brown can talk to April.
Sally's here, and she will talk with you after this, and see what we can do, what can be done.
Okay, because they don't call me like Thursday, just past Thursday. They didn't call me and tell me they weren't coming to pick me up when I made an appointment to go to my psychiatrist. They didn't call and say, April, we're not coming to pick you up.
Oh, okay,
Okay, they didn't
Well-
call to tell me.
okay. Speak with her, and she'll work with you on that.
All right, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Uh-huh,
I've been riding Project Mobility for 25 years,
okay,
and I've been riding the bus since I was 4.
okay.
And I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Mark.
Good to see you, April.
Okay.
We used to be neighbors.
That's it for our public comments. Next on the agenda is board member comments and announcements. Adrian, I'm going to start with you.
No announcements, just I do want to repeat the congratulations to the team that achieved this perfect score again.
Okay.
I too would like to extend congratulations, and Mark, you also being humble down there, because I know you didn't wait for somebody else to say, hey, wait, Mark got that at that meeting. I know that you were like, well. But congratulations. I know that was a team effort, and that's extraordinary.
I'll repeat everything that's just been said. Congratulations.
Dave.
My only comment is if any of our drivers has a 12-year-old 6-foot passenger, take them immediately to Coach Grant at the University of Dayton before Adrian has a chance to call Coach Izzo at East Lansing.
Okay. Ms. Stinson.
After that comment, no
No
comment.
comment.
I'll extend my congratulations also on the triennial review. It's great.
Okay, and Ms. Howard.
I just want to say thanks to the RTA for providing free rides today for people to get to the polls. Once again, that is a service to the community that I think we should applaud. And I also, after listening to today's comments, I would like to say, you know, we have rules, and rules are in place based on processes and what's going to be good for the entire community. But I also want to say to the staff that I think it's important, and I appreciate their willingness to talk to people when things come before us to try to figure out in a compassionate way how to help people in this community. So I just appreciate the staff for doing that.
That's very well said, and to realize that sometimes we can't do exactly what you want us to do, because we do have to be concerned about the entire population, but we will try to work with you. Mr. Donahue, did you want to say something
I'm not a board member,
I
but,
know.
and I know you would remind me of that.
Yes, sir.
Our crack team has sent me a message to avoid it. And it's on the fair policy, so we're clear. They believe there was a reason E was in there. But I think the fix would be to maybe reconsider the item and either delete a word prior to E or leave E in there. The concern is that someone might try to pay a fare who is a 6-year-old and get on a bus without an adult. So I think there's two possible fixes. If you go to the last page of the item, in number 3, you could delete the word who in the first line, which I think takes away all the confusion, or you could just leave E in there.
Would your recommendation be to go back to staff and come back to us?
We could do that, but that,
You could withdraw your motion.
Well, the motion has already been passed and it's been done. So it would need to be reopened
Right.
at this point, I believe,
Yes.
is what we'd have to do.
Yeah,
By
that's,
somebody who
that's
voted
right.
in favor of it.
we could get then a new motion next time to
That's what I'm saying.
reinsert E
Yes.
or whatever changes you have.
Yeah.
we could do that.
But it would seem to me that staff needs to get the exact wording and bring it back to us.
Yeah, so that we're not rewriting it here.
Exactly.
Okay. So I know that you were wanting this to be effective December 1st, and we meet after December 1st. You're going to just have to make it be effective.
Sure.
Or you're going to continue with this one you have for that time period, what we just did, and
I can
then,
assure you, if a 7-year-old or 6-year-old gets on a bus, bus drivers push the button and call for help, because
Okay.
they know it's not a good thing.
okay,
We'll be okay.
so you can bring it back.
We will.
Okay. Now that we've had all our board members make their comments, there's no request for an executive session at this meeting. And so now we're at a point where we can adjourn. And I will accept a motion to do so.
So, second.
It's been properly moved and second to adjourn. And you don't even have to vote.